let's go ahead and begin. The first thing that we're going to need to do, well, I'm just going to remind you of how to set virtualization up, but if you want a more detailed explanation in regard to the virtualization on Fedora, the professional grade virtualization, just go back a few tutorials that I have explained this in far greater detail. So, you just need to type in dnf install at virtualization. So you're just going to install the virtualization group. There are several packets there. So then you do yum, dnf update, and oh god, there's like a lot of things here. So I'm not gonna do this now because I've done the updates for the KVM virtualization, and that works just fine. But later I'll do these updates for sure. So you just do dnf update, and then you do a reboot. You reboot the machine, and that's it. If you have already configured virtualization, you do not need to do what I just did. Anyway, then you will need to type in virt manager, press enter, and this is going to pop a virtual machine manager. I already have several virtual machines here, but I'm going to go ahead and open up Firefox. And you will need a Windows VM. Why will you need to create a Windows VM? Well, obviously because we're making a USB to basically be pluggable into a Windows machine that's going to deploy a keylogger. So we'll need a Windows VM to compile the keylogger and to test everything out there and to demo it as well. So, I strongly recommend that you download Windows from the official Windows website. They do offer a free trial download, which is very kind of them. So if you type in Windows 10, download, should be the first result. There you go. So it says Windows 10 ISO from Microsoft. And so don't go about downloading it from God knows what sites. Just go to their official website and select Windows 10, then you click on confirm, and then you select the language pack. English will be mine. Keep in mind that the bad USB chapter, the entire USB is devised and constructed so that it would work on a US based keyboard. If you have any other language, significant modifications will need to be done to the C code in Arduino in order for this to actually function. So this only works on the US keyboard for the time being, but in version 2, I will try to make it work universally across all the keyboards. So just go ahead and click on confirm here, and then you click on 64-bit or 32-bit download. Now, you can just figure out which one you have. So if you type in uname-a, it says here x86 64, so this is a 64-bit system. If it says something like i586 or something like that, then it's a 32-bit system. So if you have a 64-bit system as I, just go ahead and click on 64-bit download, and you click on save file, and then you click on OK. And that will download the file. I'm not going to go ahead and download it now because it's rather large and time consuming. I have already pre-downloaded this particular file. So I'm just going to go ahead and open up the Virt Manager. Keep in mind that Virt Manager needs to be started as root. So you won't be able to start it as a regular user. Keep that in mind. Okay, so let's just open up Virt Manager. And let's go ahead and click on File and click on New Virtual Machine. And you have architecture options down below, but that should be selected by default. Use ISO image, browse, and I have this folder here. You're not going to have it. I'm going to remove it. Maybe you've set this up before, but I did show it before, but it doesn't matter. Let me just go ahead and guide you quickly through it. So just click on Add Pool. You give a name to the pool. The name is arbitrary. Downloads. Okay, so then you click on forward and you browse the target path. The target path shall be, let's go home and then chronic, and then let's go into downloads. Open, finish, and this is going to be the path. You can also click on refresh to refresh the index here, but don't need. Okay, so I have a Windows ISO here, single language, English. Maybe you have some different language, but as I said, this will work only on US English version of Windows. As I said later on, in version 2 of the updates, I will strive to make this functional on any language pack. So, click on choose volume. So once you have selected the ISO image, click on choose volume, click on forward. Minimal requirements would be 2 gigs of RAM. I shall assign 4, and you should also have at least 2 cores. I'm gonna assign 4 as well. Actually, I'm gonna go ahead and assign 8. It's gonna work pretty slow with 2 gigabytes of RAM for Windows 10, even on a real machine and not a virtual machine. The Windows will be rather slow. I don't know, Linux will work just fine on 512 megabytes of RAM. Go ahead. So you don't need to assign as much resources as I did. You can assign maybe 4 and 2, and that should run just fine. If you don't have any spare resources, you can also assign 2 and 1, and it's gonna work, but it's gonna be very slow. So go ahead and click on forward. Bare minimum. I know that it says here 20, and that's probably gonna say on the net 20 is enough, but bare minimum assign 30 gigabytes. Why? Because you're going to be installing things and you don't want to be stuck with a lack of space. Okay, so go ahead and click on forward. Give it a name. So I'm going to name mine Windows. Okay. Windows demo. So that's gonna be the name of my machine, but the names are arbitrary, and name yours whatever you would like. And I'm gonna go ahead and click on customize before install. So click finish then. I'm gonna remove the USB redirectors. No need for those. Not for our setup anyway. And I'm gonna add a piece of hardware. Input EV Touch USB graphics tablet. I call it Evil Touch for some strange reason. What this will basically allow us is the floating mouse, because the mouse won't get locked into the machine. If by some chance your mouse does get locked into the machine, the release key is Control L Alt. So you press Control, you press the letter L as in London, and then you press Alt, and that's gonna release the mouse. Okay, so let's just go ahead and click on begin installation now. The installation of Windows is fairly slow, even though my VMs are fast. There are some of the other things which I could have done in order to improve the performance of this VM. I could have done some configuration with the disks, etc. But I don't really feel the need for it. I mean, the VM runs just fine. Some of the VMs that I have constructed can actually run 1080p games at 100 FPS, which is amazing. Okay, so go ahead and click on next here. Install now. And wait for it. Okay, so I don't have a product key. I actually do have a product key, I just don't feel like using it for this version because this is just a trial, and it's gonna get deleted in a couple of hours anyway. So, accept license terms. Next, custom install. Select this drive. Now this drive here, this has nothing to do with your system partitions or whatever. This is basically a reserved portion of space on your disk, which has nothing on it, which is reserved for the VM. So we can rest assured that you won't damage anything, or at least I don't think that you will. I have never managed to damage anything by installing VMs. Okay, so now we have to wait for this procedure to finish. Okay, so I'm gonna pause the video here and I'll come back when it's done. This might take a while, especially to go from 0 to 1%, so don't think it's not working just because that's slow. I do not know what sort of hardware you have, and depending on your hardware, this might run a little bit faster or a little bit slower. Okay, so let's go ahead and continue. The screen has changed. I have done nothing new. I have done nothing, in fact. This is all an automated procedure. All those percentages are going to come to 100%. The machine will go into a reboot, and then it's going to get to where it is now. So, I would not like to use the express settings. I wish to use the customized settings. And I generally prefer to turn these things off. Aside from consuming system resources, it's just really annoying to actually have them around. Okay, so click on next, and then wait just a moment, as the screen says. One moment. Yeah, these moments tend to be like extended periods of time. Okay, so I don't have a Microsoft account, skip this step, and don't log into your Microsoft account here. Because you're gonna be testing a keylogger, so yeah. I'm just gonna name... Okay, everything's gonna be test here. I mean, obviously you can put in any username that you want and pretty much any password that you want, so yeah. Put whatever you want there. I would advise you to keep it really simple, because you're using this machine for testing purposes anyway, so it doesn't really matter that much. Lots of great features to get excited about. That's what it says on the screen. And there's a changing form of color. I always found it fascinating how it takes so long for a Windows machine to actually boot for the first time after the initial installation, which can be somewhat frustrating, but hey. And then once you install Linux, you've installed it. Doesn't matter if it's a first or 10 trillionth boot of the system. Okay, so blah blah blah, tra la la. I am excited. Just please let it happen. I promise I'll be excited. Just let it happen. Okay, so apparently it's getting everything ready for us. During the next Microsoft conference here, I will raise a hand and I will ask a question. What on earth is being set up? What is getting ready for me as a user? Like, just to give me a list of things that are like that are basically happening. So what is there to set up after the installation is actually finished? By the system, not by the user. Apparently a great deal of things. And I got these new chairs in which I'm sitting now. Apparently they're fascinating. I'm just telling nonsensical things, just waiting for this to finish. Because I don't feel like cutting it here. Okay, so, now we are in the VM. And as you can see, you don't have full screen, but actually you do. So if you click these arrows in the top right corner, it will expand to full screen. But now you can say, oh, but look at it, it's ugly. Well, just change the resolution. Go into display settings, right click on desktop, display settings. And, sure. Okay, so go into the advanced, and then you can select the native resolution of your screen here. So mine would be 1920 by 1080. Apply, keep changes, and voila. This is way better than VirtualBox or anything like that, where you actually have to go through the installation of additional software and be bothered by a lot of things, etc. Like this, you just set the resolution, that's it. There's no need to actually configure anything else. Now, open up the #1 web browser for downloading other web browsers. Feel free to type in... I'm gonna go ahead and download Firefox for myself here, but you can download whatever you want. If you use Chrome, feel free to download Chrome, but I am a Firefox fan, and I really like using it. And look at the ad that comes out the moment I search for Firefox. It says Microsoft Edge is the recommended browser for Windows 10. Oh god. And they tried to get you with a longer battery life or whatever. Nah, not really buying it. Okay, so free download. And it's gonna happen anytime. Okay, so run. Yes. Install. This shouldn't take too much time. I mean, if you want some other browser, feel free to download. The requirement is not to have Firefox. You can even use the Internet Explorer if by some crazy chance you're actually a fan of it, but okay. Okay, so installing, come on. Don't import anything. Next. Thank you. Yes, I would like to use it as my default browser. Firefox. Thank you. Okay, so now that that is done, Firefox is opened. Let's go ahead and close this. And unpin from taskbar. I'm gonna unpin the store as well because I really don't need it. I don't think I've actually ever opened it. Pin to taskbar. Okay. So let's just pin it to taskbar so it's a little bit easier. There we go. So that would be the installation of Windows and the prep work for everything that we will need to do here. Now next up, we will download code blocks, set up a compiler, and then we will get the code from GitHub for the keylogger, compile it, customize it a little bit before we compile it, and then we're gonna write the VBS and the PowerShell scripts, and then we're gonna move on to Arduino, and then we're gonna actually upload it all to the server, and then we'll move on to Arduino. Okay, so bid you farewell here, and we shall see each other in the follow-up.